I'm happy to be here. I hope you guys all are checking out the expo tour. It's been a lot of fun over there. A little bit of background. I did not start off. Oh, I was playing as a virtual reality game for HTC Vive, which is sort around. You're the last, the surviving shred defending Heaven's Gate, which is 50 little demons. So you sort of try to knock them out. But I wasn't always making VR games. In the past few years, I built an iOS game called Baby Dancer, um, where you choreograph dance moves of others, um, and then battle them against dance moves from other people online. So whoever has, then you judge other people as well, and whoever wins the battle then gets points to give their babies little tattoos and um, I was also the lead game developer on ESC, which is a 30 multiplayer gaming, local multiplayer platform. It's like kind of like a theater space where you all are sort of in the same space and you're against each other. Um, and I now work for S2, which is the company behind Money and Value and stuff like that. I'm on their emerging technologies team, so we do a lot of VR and AR stuff. And that sort of thing got me into, this is one of my earlier VR prototypes, the Really Gang Gold, which is a first-person brawler, in which you have a very frustrating time with handguns because reloading requires you to actually open it up or do all the hand gestures to get each individual bullet in. In the meantime, somebody will just grab the shit and just yank it over your head. So I really enjoyed working on this, and the first few prototypes were a lot of fun. But I realized after some time that it was going to take me maybe another year or two to do this, and so I started playing around with some other stuff. Now, it's, yeah, this is a little bit of example of it's going a lot slower than anticipated, but it's a little example of somebody doing clean courage or trying to shoot somebody else. That was one of the first playtests that I did, but apparently this is not that. One other lesson learned here is that before ESC and before all the other stuff that Big Dance stuff, I was a VFX artist. So I did television commercials and music videos from the visual side. And so working on Pretty Gang Gold meant that I spent too much time on visual things, just a waste of time in the early development phase. And so I spent too much time on this path, which I kind of wanted it to come down whenever the person is like moving around, and so you have to use your gun to like, kind of push it up, you push it out as you move. It's just a huge risk. So, that was a mistake. Yeah, if it seems like I'm winging this, that's very true. So this was kind of a changing event for me, life-changing event for me. I went to Unite, and I had been to Unite before um, to give a talk for ESC, which I think David was there. Were you there? Okay. So, but this time, uh, I went to a talk where I sat next to one of the girls that worked on Tiltbrush, and Tiltbrush was like the app for me, why I got a dive in the first place. Right? Tiltbrush, if you haven't tried it yet, it's draw in space, basically, but it's very intuitive. It's like no learning. Just give me a controller and you can start drawing and just like, oh, I get it. This is why VR isn't just an internet. So I was sitting next to this girl that was working on Tiltbrush, and of course, like thinking about telling her how much I enjoyed Tiltbrush, and thinking about, oh, wouldn't it be cool to build a game like this? And the other thing is I went to the I have it in the notes here, but my notes are way too big. Oh, here, Curtis Murphy. He was talk about what makes great games great. And if you get a chance, you should really check that talk out online. It's fantastic. So he talks not only about just getting shit done, like the Gritty Gang Go thing was really a lot of fun, but that wasn't going to get done in a long time. But he also talked about a lot about this chart here, flow, which I've taken to heart. And I took that very serious. And yeah, so as you can see, a lot of people are taking this event very seriously. This guy got a tattoo of Unity in his. So as soon as I got home from this event, motivated like crazy, I went to some friends of mine. They live in Pennsylvania. I dragged my whole computer out there, I dragged my Vive out there. They had never played with it before. I'm like, hey, this is Tilt Brush. Hey, this is Job Simulator. I want to make a game that grabs the title of the first game on Steam where all the art was done in Tilt Brush. Okay? And this is Kay. And Kay is a concept artist, and he worked for Arcadium for a while, but they now work out of their studio in Pennsylvania. And he and his wife, Jet, they just jumped on it, and they were totally into it. And we began working on it right away. And all of us, full-time jobs, we built Paulo's Wing in about 4 months. And this is part of the development process. So you can see that I really focused on game mechanics first. And once they were all working, that's when all the visuals came in. So this is just me knocking around these little demons and stunning them with the shield and getting out of the way of all the bad stuff that they throw around. It was very important for me and it was actually very difficult for me to not get caught up on the visuals early. It's very tempting to just get in there and want to make things look good. But I had made that mistake with Gritty Gang Gold, and I didn't want to go down a long road. And so this was the approach I took. We also did a lot of tests on the beginning just to see which brushes came over well and how the colors worked and stuff like that, because this was all before Tilt Brush, if you don't know, released a SDK for Unity to bring your Tilt Brush art into Unity, right? So before that, we did the workflow manually, and when they announced that they were going to bring things into Unity easily, it's like a fire was lit under our ass, right? So we were running out of time. Like everybody was going to be able to do this very easily. And so we really started cranking out. On the beginning, we made a lot of mistakes. So something to keep in mind, if you've played around with Tilt Brush before, it's kind of like a painting tool, right? It's not like a 3D modeling tool. And so if you try to make things that you would usually do in 3D Studio Max or Maya, then what you're going to run into is just this sort of geometry here. You'll see that, oh, what am I going to do with all these holes? What I'm going to do, connect all these vertices, try to get some good edge flow going? No, right? That's not going to happen. Like, this is not the tool for that. And the sooner we accepted it, as soon as we accepted that, everything changed. Because as soon as you embrace it for what it is, which is what it is really good at, kind of creative, it's kind of, an analogy would be to try to make architectural blueprints with a spray can, right? It's probably not going to work out. You want to use AutoCAD, something like that. So when you accept that, you can say, all right, we're just going to let this be Tilt Brush art, right? We're going to make this look like Tilt Brush art. So there'll be holes. It won't have edge flow. If you animate the arm and it'll be like wonky points sticking out, there'll be that. but we'll let it shine at what it is good at, which is making things look like painted things. Um, and then we started thinking about optimization. So you can see here, one of the earlier models of the character has like all these little strokes, but that gets pretty heavy if you have the whole scene like that. So we discussed some plans about how we can optimize the character, and you can see that it should just be like 5 strokes for the hair, and then you can paint some of those details in. Anything that's the same color, minimize like possible. This is also a good lesson here. Geometry, that sort of geometry doesn't work well with lighting. And so in the whole game, there's no lighting, right? Everything is kind of like a cartoon where you, if you want some shading, you paint it in, right? It means that it's not dynamic shading, but it looks great. So we started dumping that direction and trying to make the lighting look good, and just said, all right, paint the lighting into the whole thing. Yeah, and then things started to look better. So you can see this is like the character now. This is some of the concept art that Kay did. We were very excited about this. I wish I had some of the references in here. You can see that where all this is coming from. The whole project actually started in Germany because there's a statue in Köln of 4 little guys like defeating these demons. It's an amazing statue. Yeah, so this is one of the bad guys. Again, embrace like the whole painted look, and that works. And my very favorite, of course, is the one of the bosses, which the tilt brush art then turned out looking better than the concept art. So I'm very happy with that part. I believe this was a gift. It actually works on the screen. That's fantastic. Yeah. So again, our mission here was to knock something out, to build something in a very short time, and to go for that title. And that title doesn't mean anything to consumers, right? You're not gonna win somebody over necessarily to buy the game who doesn't know, maybe knows what tilt brush is, but that's not a thing. But who does like titles of this is the first blah blah blah? The media, right? And so that's the people that you reach with that sort of thing. So if this is actually just, I was talking about something else here. Yeah, so where this turned out really well for us, while it's not huge financial success, we never really expected it to be, but we did want to get attention, and we did want to get our names out there. And for that, it did really well. Google tweeted about it, Upload did an article on it, they reviewed it, Unity tweeted about it, and so on and so forth. So from that perspective, it was a lot of fun and really amazing. And I can't stress enough how good Jet and Kay were to work with. So if you guys want to look them up, get them to do some tilt brush work for you. You have to pay them though, because you don't. Okay, cool. Any questions? Yeah, short talk. Yes. Yeah, so good question. So if you know in tilt brush, you'll just kind of get these very almost abstractly looking meshes out of it, which is just your brush strokes. And then we took that into 3D Studio Max, and I rigged it up, and then I animated it, and then I brought it into Unity. Yeah, but no animations were done within tilt brush itself. Yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of, yeah, please. Yeah, so, okay. There are a lot of things. So I should have actually read the notes because there are some points that I didn't talk about. But there are a lot of things that we had to design into it. For instance, one thing that the Vive is really good at is that you get real accurate position of the controllers, right? And rotation, which is kind of, it's harder than you think, right? So for instance, if you're thinking about the Wii controller and you played something like Wii Sports, then you know that anybody who's played it for quite a while knows that this is the same as this, right? But in the Vive, so while I was building this game, I'm like swinging at it and I'm like going all out because that's the kind of game that I want to play, and so I play it like I want to play it, right? And then I hand it off to somebody and they go like this, ding, 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 and I'm like, right? I have enough information to not let that happen. So what some of the things that we needed to do here is we're not just seeing how fast the sword is moving, but we're also seeing how far your hand has traveled through space, right? So this, even though your hand moves fast, doesn't do any damage if you're not moving your hand, okay? You can test this out later. It's on the third floor on the thing, but the line was like an hour later, earlier, so I'm not sure if you want to stand there. But yeah, so you swing. You have to really like swing through it, and the harder you swing, the more damage you'll do, right? So that is something that I find very valuable in the controller, and I get a lot out of like people really getting into it. I mean, I could probably pull up a video, but in addition to that, one of the problems with Unity, love Unity, right, representing, but one of the problems with Unity's physics system is that the collision detection happens on the fixed update frame. I don't know if you're using Unity, yeah, okay. Then you are likely to, if you move an object too fast, and he was in my Unity class, so he knows exactly what I'm about to say. If you move an object too fast, if this is the collision object, and on one frame it's here, and you move it too fast, and on the other frame it's here, this collision never happened, okay? So what you then end up having to do, and what we did in this case, is we don't use on collision at all. There's no on collision in this whole game. What happens here is that each object that is flying and the sword that is swinging has these points from which it fires rays on those frames. And what it does is it remembers where it was on the last frame, and then when it gets to the new frame, it shoots a ray from the last frame to the current frame, and anything that's in the way, it hits, right? So then you can move your controller as fast as you want, and it will still register that collision, okay? So that's one of the like special things we'd have to build around. But that's not exclusive to VR. It's just something you need to do for really fast moving objects. Yeah, but it worked really well for the controller. Yeah. Please. Yeah. Yeah, I was actually also very familiar with VR already. But I wasn't building like a game yet. So I took part of some hackathons, and I had a friend who was really into VR, and so, but he only does visual things, so I needed to help him a lot to build things. So I was familiar with the platform, but yeah, it was like Tilt Brush that where I decided that I needed to get in there and build something. But yeah, I took part in a hackathon where I tried to create a live action film where all perspectives are possible. You know, 360-degree video, but where you're not stuck on one point of view. So we used photogrammetry to create 14 frames over one weekend, which took a really long time. And it looks really good, but it's like stop motion kind of. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. We're going to take a few-minute break, and at 4 p.m. we're going to have the NYC's Twitch streamers coming up to talk about how you can use streaming to build your brand, and that'll be Future Man Gaming, Swifter, Bifuteki, and how do I say it? Asker CN? Do you know? Okay. Awesome. All right. So thanks, everybody. Hang out for a few minutes, and we'll get that started at 4.